Welcome, Army TV viewers. You're watching Military Television of Ukraine. Today's episode of Military Discovery is all about the world's best infantry fighting vehicles. We're skipping the Israeli Namer and German Puma for now, since they haven't hit the battlefield yet. But the Ukrainian armed forces already have two other heavy hitters in their arsenal: the Swedish CV90 and the American M2 Bradley. We'll be drag racing them, firing their weapons, testing their accuracy, and checking how fast troops can dismount from the back. We'll talk armor, firepower, and everything in between, just to keep things interesting and find out which one comes out on top. Let's go! Vehicle weight?
38 tons.
Engine power?
600 horsepower.
Wheel or levers?
Steering wheel.
Transmission?
Automatic.
Top speed?
33 miles per hour.
Vehicle weight?
28 tons.
Engine power?
500 horsepower.
Wheel or levers?
Steering wheel.
Transmission?
Automatic.
Top speed?
50 miles per hour.
All right, now let's see which one hits the tree line first. Bradley or the CV90? Bradley on the move. We had a good run. I even rode along, but CV90 won that race. Let's see which one shoots more accurately. What's the caliber of the gun?
40 millimeters.
Max range with high explosive rounds?
Up to 7.8 miles.
Armor piercing range?
Armor piercing goes out to 22 miles.
Rate of fire?
300 rounds per minute.
Autoloader? 24 rounds total?
Yeah, three mags of 8 rounds, all out in 30 seconds.
Max range to knock out a tank from the side?
0.9 to 1.2 miles. They've got real punch at that range.
All right then, let's put that accuracy to the test. What's the main gun on the M2 Bradley?
That's the Bushmaster.
Types of rounds it fires?
High explosive and armor piercing.
Max firing range?
2.5 miles.
And its effective range?
1.2 miles.
What about rate of fire?
Around 100 to 200 rounds per minute.
Of course, you can't do a real comparison without checking out the troop compartments, right? Let's start with the CV90, and let's have our Cossacks show us how fast and smooth you can jump in. Dismount! Armor up! So, how's that, Cossacks?
Not bad, but it's actually more comfy inside the Bradley.
All right then, let's check it out. And while we're at it, let's see how fast we can hit the ground on command.
Dismount. Hit the ground.
Now let's show how loading into the Bradley works. Dismount! Armor up! Oh, now this one's more fun.
Yeah, the Bradley's way more comfortable, faster, and more efficient, especially when you're loading in under pressure. You can carry wounded brothers if needed, plus ammo and gear.
But we've still got to see how dismounting works. So, dismount, hit the ground. All right, we've had some fun. The drag race, CV90 wins. In the shooting test, CV90 also locked on quicker and took the target out. But I want to go back to the drag race because the Bradley's over 5.5 tons heavier. I think that made the difference in speed. CV90 has those extra traction teeth. And Bradley doesn't have those, right?
No, it doesn't.
But speaking of added weight, the extra mass comes from the Brat 2 explosive reactive armor. And I'm guessing that's saving your life out there. Pretty big plus, huh?
Yeah, it does the job. But even without the reactive armor, the Bradley's already 5.5 tons heavier. Add the extra protection, and that's another almost 4 tons.
So what's the full weight?
On paper, it's about 35 tons, and with the ERA, it's pushing 39 tons.
All right, what's your take?
Give us ERA too, let's even the odds a bit. But I'll say this, even without the ERA, it's holding up against FPV strikes. Only the extra armor takes partial damage. So yeah, even without reactive armor, it still holds.
And this one's modular, right? So you can swap parts out?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything on the turret's modular. The turret itself is about half the size. You actually see the rest is add-on armor.
So modularity is definitely a plus. Now let's talk firepower. The Bradley's got a 25mm gun, while the CV90 rocks a 40mm. In today's combat, when you need to rush infantry into the tree line and lay down a lot of suppressing fire, the Bushmaster looks better thanks to its rate of fire, especially when you switch it to 200 rounds per minute. We've seen that in action, but that 40mm, it hits armored targets a lot harder, right?
Yeah. Plus, the high explosive effect of the round is a lot stronger. Each shell sends shrapnel flying out to about 50 feet. So I don't need to saturate the whole tree line, I can just spread rounds every 33 feet and get the job done. And when it comes to armor, the subcaliber rounds can punch through up to 100mm of armor, maybe even more.
I'll say our HE rounds aren't far behind. We've got shrapnel spread up to 33 feet, and the fire rate really helps, especially if you're laying down a tight group to cover infantry pulling back. Plus, I've got more ammo on board, so yeah, rate of fire gives us an edge.
And you've got those 2 extra surprises?
Yep, 2 Tau missiles. Those can take out a tank head-on. We've already done it. Took out a T-80 by punching through the turret. And our AP rounds armor piercing go through up to 70mm of armor.
So you're saying you could still use a few more heavy anti-tank options?
But we've got an ace up our sleeve. We can fire very accurately from covered positions out to 8 miles.
So kind of like light artillery?
Exactly.
Since we're already talking about guns and armor, would you want to replace the Bradley's 25mm with a 40mm Bushmaster?
If we could keep the same fire rate we've got now, yeah, I think I would.
And what about putting Bradley's explosive reactive armor onto the CV90?
I'd use some of it.
Like along the sides?
No, just on the front.
But wouldn't that hurt your mobility?
Definitely. A hit to the engine will stop the whole vehicle, so yeah, better to have some protection.
Now about optics. I already spoke to the mechanics, and I know Bradley's got the edge here, right?
Yeah, the driver's got a night camera and a thermal imager. As far as I know, you guys don't have that?
We've only got a basic night vision scope.
Plus, we've got displays for the troops in the back. They can see where the driver's going and what the gunner's targeting. They've got a clear view of the situation outside.
Ours just has voice comms, old school analog, and all in Swedish, by the way.
All right, let's talk mine blasts. Everyone knows Bradley can handle a TM series anti-tank mine. Maybe even two. What about the CV90?
CV90s can also take a TM hit, even two, depending on the situation. Sure, you'll lose mobility, but the crew and dismounts usually walk away just fine.
So even without explosive reactive armor, the CV90 can survive mines, AT weapons, and FPV drones. And with ERA, the Bradley handles all of that even better?
Yeah, we've taken FPV hits too. No problem. I've been hit by a mine myself. No injuries. The vehicle holds up. Even if some wires or electronics get damaged, it still drives. One time we took a 1.5 FPV hit, blew through the troop compartment, but the thing kept moving.
And when it comes to night signatures, we've got to mention that massive advantage on the CV90, the Barracuda camo netting. We've seen night footage where you can only make out the tracks and the troops jumping out. This cover blocks both visual and thermal detection. How much of a lifesaver is it really?
That camo really works like you said. The thermal signature of a single infantryman is sometimes more visible than the whole vehicle on thermal. From personal experience, we had the CV90 in a tree line, working from a concealed position. I walked off to the command post and came back later. I knew exactly where it was, it hadn't moved, and I still couldn't see it. Trees were bare, weather was clear. Only when I was like 30 feet away did I finally spot it, just standing there between the trees, dirty and blended in perfectly.
Well, we don't have Barracuda camo, but honestly, same story. The Bradley gets so caked in mud that once you park it and throw a couple of branches on, even you can't find it.
And about the Barracuda, it's also installed on the Swedish STRV122 tank. Basically, they're Leopard 2.5. So yeah, Swedish vehicles are big on thermal camouflage, on tanks, IFVs, you name it. And I hear you guys even have a built-in food heater?
Yeah, that's right.
And what's the cooking situation like for you?
As far as I know, the CV90's multi-cooker can boil water in about 20 minutes?
Roughly, yeah.
But come on, we've got those little field burners. Cup of water, 3 minutes, done and gone.
But those things catch fire.
Hey, sometimes you're out on a run. You gotta eat fast, so you down it and go.
All right, multi-cooker advantage, neutralized.
On fire safety grounds.
We don't need a multi-cooker anyway.
All right, folks, we've seen pretty much everything. Maybe the CV90 is faster, but it's got lighter armor, it's more accurate, and fires faster, so that's a win. But when it comes to troop comfort, Bradley wins hands down. It's got better optics for the driver and higher fire rate with the main gun. Still, the CV90 hits harder with its 40mm and can engage from concealed positions. Its night camo is also better, no question. On the other hand, the Bradley wins on overall armor protection. Looking at all this, I gotta say, I can't pick a winner. First, came here thinking the newer CV90 would blow the Bradley out of the water. But honestly, they're neck and neck. Each has its strengths and trade-offs. But imagine combining them: CV90's gun, dynamic armor, Barracuda camo, wider troop bay, better underbody protection. That would probably be the best IFV in the world. For now, we've got two of the best, and they're both awesome in their own way. But above all, we've got the best people defending our country. So stay tuned for more field tests and head-to-heads, and see you in the next video.